Hello, everyone. My name is Stacey Owen. I'm the Executive Director of Alumni Engagement for the School of Business. And if you think you're coming to a session about cleaning up your digital dirt, then you are in the right place. We are recording this session. So if there's anything that you miss, I'll send out the recording and the presentation later this afternoon. We are thrilled to have Sharon Vogler with us today. I've seen her do a similar session years ago, and it's great. She's going to help us understand why this is important, what you can do to clean up your digital dirt. She is a Senior Associate Director of Market Readiness and Employment at the School of Business. And Sharon, I'll turn it over to you. I'll manage the chat in case people have questions, and we'll go ahead and get started. And if you could please mute yourselves, that would be very helpful.
Awesome. Can everybody hear me okay? Thumbs up. Awesome. Welcome. Thank you, Stacey, so much for inviting me to participate in this series. I've had a lot of fun putting this presentation together, and I'm super excited to share some of the knowledge that's come across my desk over the years here in the School of Business. So like Stacey said, I've been here at the School of Business for 10 years. I'm super excited to have been able to touch just about every program that we offer here in the school, from the accounting, the pre-experience accounting, management, and business analytics programs. I've even had the opportunity to work with some of our undergrad students and MBAs. And so this is really an interactive session. I've built in some exercises for us to do and for us to share, right? And so in the spirit of networking and crowdsourcing, let's get started. And so just to warm up the crowd just a little, I'd love for everybody to drop in the chat something that you are currently watching or reading, something super fun, you know, as far as a summer read or a summer movie that you've watched recently that you really enjoy. And I'll start off with something that I'm currently binging. We're on the very last episode of The Lincoln Lawyer. It's on Netflix, and it almost feels like a made-for-TV Hallmark movie, but it's a 10-part series on a really cool defense attorney and a case that he works on out in LA. So it's got a cool California vibe. And if you like law and order and crime investigations, then you'll really love it. So what else do we have out there, Stacey?
Well, we have Top Gun, which is a must-see.
Yes, we love Top Gun.
Range by David Epstein, which is a book. We have The Tourist. Let's see. As Merchants of Grain book, background of grain merchants, watching Senora Volpe.
Ooh, sounds very cool. Well, thanks. Like I said, this is going to be a real interactive session, but we'll get started with just talking about, I can get my slides to go forward. Oops. What is digital dirt? And so, like Stacey said, if you've joined this session and you wanted to learn a little bit more about your digital footprint, what it really means to think about, you're just pulled off a couple of definitions to kind of get us started with exactly what we're thinking about. And your digital dirt or your digital footprint is everything that's online. It includes websites that you visited, emails that you sent, any information that you've submitted online. Of course, it also it includes things like your Facebook, your LinkedIn, Instagram, anything really that we're doing on our laptops or doing on these mini computers that I don't really consider a phone. It's really a computer. It can be, it's public knowledge. Even things like Snapchat and some of the site designed to be very quick and short can be traced. And so if any of you are thinking about making a professional move, or if you are hiring anyone to join your team, you might want to think about what your digital footprint looks like, and we're going to show you some tips on how to manage your digital footprint. And then also think about using these tactics as you think about hiring for your teams. It ties in really nicely to this personal brand, right? So if any of you have ever had a marketing class, perhaps some of you even work in the marketing space, you know that branding is something that we all do on a daily basis. I've got some really high profile brands mentioned over here on the left side of the screen, like Coca-Cola, IBM, Barbie, McDonald's, right? Nike, Starbucks. Using the chat, right? What are some of the words that come to mind when you think of these brands? One word that comes to my mind is consistency. Anyone else have anything at top of mind of what you think of when you think of these high-powered brands? See if I can see the chat. Distinctive, good, I like it. Kristen, thank you. They're institutions, right? Another word I think of is they're everywhere, right? There's not a day that goes by that I don't see a Starbucks logo in my face. Strong reputation, great, really fantastic. So when you think about your digital footprint, you're really communicating your personal brand. And whether you are just trying to, connect with old classmates or monitor your children's online presence, if you use Instagram as a tool for shopping, I'm kind of in that mind frame right now. I'm heavily influenced and purchase things all the time on Instagram. And so all of the things that I buy, all the things that I comment on are all linked to who I am as a person. And so if you're thinking about how you are presenting yourself out there in this digital world, you've got to think about, some really ways that you can leverage it, to advance your career, increase your circle of influence, and really start to become the subject matter expert on whatever your chosen field or hobby could be. My slides don't go forward. So why is this important, right? Data is king, and we're all living and breathing data on a daily basis. And I found this from Apollo Technical. It's a really fantastic site. And I learned that 84% of organizations that are out there recruit candidates using social media. So what does that mean? That means that they're promoting jobs and they're sourcing candidates using platforms such as LinkedIn is one of the more popular ones in the business world, but they're also using Twitter and Snapchat and Instagram to increase the reach and to continually emphasize all of the reasons why potential candidates will want to apply for and work for their firms. And so 67%, of these firms are using social media to research potential candidates. So Stacy and I are both in the hiring mode in the School of Business. I'll have a shameless plug here for myself and my colleagues. Go to Wake Forest Careers, hit on that staff button, and anything that's tagged to the School of Business. Stacy and I have colleagues and who are currently in hiring mode. And I had an actual referral this past week. Someone that saw my posting on LinkedIn reached out to me and asked about the job opening that I currently have, because someone that she works with could be interested. So the very first thing I did was I did a search on LinkedIn on that person. And I was able to make some pretty immediate, decisions on whether this is someone that I wanted to talk to, or someone that, this position that I'm currently recruiting for isn't quite the right fit. And so I'm not alone. 67% of people out there who are hiring are using some sort of social media to research potential candidates. And 54% cited that they ruled out a candidate based off of something they saw on social media. In the case that I'm just talking about, the person really didn't have the kind of experience or background, wasn't even close. And so I, was able to rule out that candidate pretty quickly based off of what I could see on their LinkedIn profile. So take a look at that article. It's pretty interesting, and it's full of lots more data that I didn't want to drag this presentation down with. So here's another why. So I want everyone to think about social media, and if anyone has had any horror stories on how social media has impacted either your career or someone you work with, if it's impacted their career in a positive or negative way, I'd love for you to unmute and share it with the group. Does anyone have either a horror story or an honor story about how social media has helped or possibly derailed their career?
So I have a story. It's a friend, right? But he was a medical doctor in the UK practicing just fine. And then he had a moment of indiscretion that led to being disbanded, if I can put it like that. But eventually, like,
wow.
they went through certain proceedings and things like that, and his name was cleared. But he's moved on to a different continent now, and unfortunately, like, every time he's trying to find work, the stories that went on the internet when his case was up shows up, and he's very good at what he does and everything, and has learned his hard lessons and wants to move on. But things that happened almost a decade ago are like stalking or dogging him, if I can use that word, and he and I were having a chat, and he's almost at a point where he's so frustrated because, like, very skilled medical doctor, but cannot freely practice because of things that's out there on the internet about him.
Wow. So yeah. I've got some at the end of the presentation. Vera, thank you so much for sharing that story. And I've got some things that could possibly help him mentioned at the end of the presentation. But thank you so much.
That. Thank you.
Yeah. That's unfortunate for him, but it sounds like he's on the right track. Anyone else have anything that they could share or feel comfortable sharing? I've got a couple. And I could do this all day long. Stacy and I talked about this yesterday, and we wanted to keep it short and sweet. But I have a personal case, I guess, that I ran into years ago before I was at Wake Forest. I worked for a local manager. So I was responsible for bringing in all the business, finding all of our clients, and then I managed a staff of recruiters who were responsible for finding talent, right? And so I had worked so hard to close the deal with one of the largest employers here in Winston-Salem. This is a story. All of these are linked so you can read the detailed story. So it's all public information. But the company was Enmar Intelligence. And it was my largest client. It was probably a $5 million annual account for me. So it was huge. It was putting money in my pocket, right? Because of the commission-based structure that we had there. We were working with a temp who was on a temp to contract role at Enmar. She was working in their accounts receivables division of some sort. So it was a desk job, right? Entry level. This particular temp had some rocky, career transition. So she was on her on the right track to get a full-time permanent job with one of the best employers in town. They had a town hall meeting during her time there as a temporary, and the CEO had an announcement that they were going to, for the remaining part of the quarter, they were going to halt all overtime. So no one who was on an hourly wage could get overtime. And this wasn't something that settled very well with this temporary. So she went to Facebook and called the CEO a tool and made it perfectly, it was crystal clear that she was not happy with this new policy, and someone that she works for there at Inmar saw it. And so not only did this temp lose this position at Inmar, I found myself in the office with the CEO and head of human resources, and we were in jeopardy of losing the entire account because of one comment one temp made. Luckily, through the grace of God, we did not lose that account, but the temporary we decided also not to work with any longer. So it's a story that was on WXII about 12, 13 years ago, and it's an interesting one. Another story that I saw that was really interesting was this story about a fan that was at the World Cup. Again, this was 10, 15 years ago. 17-year-old girl, absolutely gorgeous. She uses social media to talk all about her experience at the World Cup. And L'Oreal, the luxury brand cosmetic company, saw her posts and hired her, gave her a modeling contract. Later, this same 17-year-old young lady with the new modeling contract decided to post some pictures online of her hunting large game. And so again, once you click on this, we're going to send this to you at the end, you can see these pictures of her, hunting large exotic animals. And because this did not align with L'Oreal's stance on this particular hobby, she lost the modeling contract, millions and millions of dollars. The last one that I've included is it's sad. It's actually pretty sad. There's a doctor that's down in Florida, and she's out having a really great time. I can't remember exactly what city it's in, but some very cool, exciting city down in Florida, maybe Tampa or Miami. And she is intoxicated and tries to hijack an Uber. So she tries to get into an Uber that's not hers. The one that did not order this Uber. So she's trying, and she goes on this belligerent, terrible rampage of just this drunken, disorderly conduct. It's actually pretty nauseating to watch. And so this goes viral. It's on Twitter. It's trending on all the social media sites. And this young lady lost her job as a doctor there at the hospital that she worked. And so you can see it's not only the things that you're purposely posting, like our friend that was the temp at Inmar, but the young lady who was just caught on camera making some poor decisions, and through no action of her own, this stuff goes viral, and she lost her job. And so when we think about the why, there could be people with similar names as you, or potential people that you're working with and for, that could have some really unattractive things out there in their digital footprint that you want to kind of think of. Any comments or any other stories that someone can tell around how social media has derailed or helped their professional development? All right, we'll go on. So LinkedIn's the major one in the business world, right? And so Stacey did a really amazing session. I'm not sure how long ago it was, but I've cited it here on growing your visibility and expanding your network on LinkedIn. So I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time going through this social media platform, but in the world of business, LinkedIn, the social media, I beg to argue that LinkedIn is really this digital Rolodex, right? And this online networking space, but it does feel and act a whole lot like our traditional social media platforms like Facebook and Instagram and Twitter. But I wanted to just spend just a second to have you just think about your own LinkedIn profile, okay? If you're in the business world at all, or if you're, you have a job where you need people and you need information on how to do your job better, you need to be on LinkedIn. So this is my landing page. This is my profile, and using the chat, could everybody just use an adjective on what you think of when you see my profile on LinkedIn? Just an adjective. Anyone? Academic judgment, organized. I like organized, Stacey. That's good. Approachable. I love that. Vera. Warm. Alex. I love it. Easy to read, right? So can anyone very quickly throw out a couple of nouns that you think of when you see my LinkedIn page? Vera, I like approachable. That's my favorite one. Right? So what do you think of when you see mine? Hopefully coach, right? Writer, right? Careers, right? So you really want to put more time and emphasis on that profile picture. You want it to be warm, you want it to be approachable. And then this larger background picture here, this is Farrell Hall, the founder's living room in Farrell Hall. And so I wanted it to represent who I am as a professional. And so think about that. You kind of spruce up your LinkedIn profile. You don't want to forget Facebook, right? We want consistency. There's me and the deacon. And hopefully this it makes you think that I really love the beach, and I really, really, really love the beach and the ocean. And then my Instagram, again, it's me and the deacon. And just even on the landing page, you're seeing graduates. Hopefully it's aligned with my brand, right? I work at a college. I work with students. I work at Wake Forest. Okay, so just think about those things as you are cleaning up your digital footprints. We have 3 easy ways, right? You want to search your name in Google, okay? And so you want to do this with and without quotes. And I want everyone to get to a new browser. I want you to go to Google, and I want everyone to Google their name without quotes. And I'm going to attempt to do this myself with going to a new one. Okay. So I'm going to Google Sharon Vogler. If anyone is comfortable, what are the first 3? This is the landing page on my desktop. What are the first 3 things that you see? You see my LinkedIn profile, which is good, represents my personal professional brand really well. There's an article that's cited from our friends over in the OPCD that I did about mentoring. It's called Take 5 with Sharon Vogler. So again, aligning myself with Wake Forest. And the third thing that you see there is a link to my profile on the School of Business Career Center. And so yay, right? This is a great way for my digital footprint to start. Okay. Anyone feel brave enough to mention the first 3 that are mentioned when you Google your name without quotation marks? Another thing that's really helpful are these images, right? When you click on the images section, super cool that most of the things that I want it to display is displaying the image that I want it to display. All right, let's look at the chat. Go Teeks, LinkedIn and Twitter. Kristen, that's great. Oh, Jill, you got other women with your name. That's kind of scary. I see Facebook, image results, LinkedIn. Alex, good. Awesome. My cell number appeared. So now I want you to do it again, right? And I want you to put quotation marks. And Jill, I try your whole name, your whole entire name, even your maiden name, your middle name, and your married name, right? I have a unique name because Sharon's got 2 R's and Vogler is not that common. So when I Google myself with quotation marks, again, you see these first 3 things. The images are about the same, but look what happens at the end. It gives you a link to my Pinterest. It shows me, of course, now it's not going to come up. There it is. It gives you my age, my cell phone number, and my address. That's kind of scary, right? So if I don't want this to show up, right, in at least the landing page in Google, here are some things that you need to think about, right, when you want to change or improve, right, what's coming up on those Google posts. So you want to delete, oh, I think I did this, right, our landing page. So you want to delete anything that might be offensive, okay? You never know who's tagging you in things, or if, like in Jill, someone with a different name is doing things that don't represent who you are. You might want to think about deleting some of those things. Clean up your contacts. My mom used to tell me every so often I needed to weed my garden, okay, when it came to friends. So people I was aligning myself in high school and college, you know, are these the right people that you want to align yourself with? Do you need to weed the garden? Do you need to weed out some of those contacts that aren't as relative? There are ways to tighten up your privacy settings. If you need more assistance on that, please send me a personal message and I'll be glad to show you how to tighten up some of these settings. And then freshen up, right? Think of it as spring cleaning. Those pictures that we saw on the Google site when we Googled my name, some of those are pretty old. I think I'm able to hold up that image 10, 15 years later, but it might be a good time to possibly put some new, more relevant photos up. Another thing that you need to do is push positive content. Okay. If any of you were in the last session, Jolson did a great job of giving us really tangible, easy ways to up our social media game. But from a very simple and doable perspective, just like, share, comment things that you see out there when it comes to Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn, right? You can do some very easy, if you just participate a little bit and you're active on those sites, it'll start to push positive content. I've included the link to Jenny's session in case you want to go back and watch it. Again, I've been doing this for a long time and I was able to take away some really helpful things and really interesting information about social media. She mentions in her session some really fun things about kitties and puppies. I thought it was just absolutely adorable that kitties and puppies using photos, right? As you try to, you know, establish yourself within these social media sites, always they tend to get a little bit more attention. You guys saw the photo. That is my profile photo on Instagram and Facebook of me and the Demon Deacon. So hopefully you guys all know that I'm a Deacon fan and enjoy anytime I get to spend with the Deacon. And then using social media to kind of be the change that you want to see in the world. It's very easy to start to polarize yourself on social media. So I'd be really careful about any drastic political opinions, in case that, unless that's exactly what you want the world to know about, and it's part of who you are and part of your identity, to be that kind of person, especially when it comes to social policy and change. Social media is a wonderful way to help. One example that I'd like to share is in the last presidential campaign. It was my daughter and I just got on this kick, and we just kind of got into this rhythm of posting and reposting some motivational things for everybody to get out and vote. Right? I tried not to be too one-sided on which way I was voting, and I didn't really care, but I wanted people to get out and vote. And so this is just a post that I did on Instagram. My daughter's in college, and a lot of her friends needed to have absentee voting. They had to do an absentee ballot. And she did an amazing job of reminding her friends of timing and procedures to get out and vote. So you can really use social media for your own personal endeavors and trying to influence change in this crazy, crazy world that we live in, that will then improve your image, hopefully improve it. So pushing positive content is huge. And then some things to consider. I know I'm running out of time. I'm going to be really quick. And for those of you who have children, if you're brave enough, Google your kids. It's eye-opening. If they are on social media, if they have a mobile computer like this, it's absolutely wild. And again, if you're interested in a horror story on what happened when I Googled my daughter several years ago, happy to tell you all about it offline. But it's interesting, but you got to be brave. Don't post under the influence. This is, any of you ever really read people's comments, especially on Facebook and Instagram? People can be really, really catty and so brutally honest. And I often think they must have had a couple of drinks. But try not to do it, guys. Think about what you're about to put out there into the world before you hit enter or return. You don't want your parents, teachers, if you don't want your staff, right? You may have people who report to you. If you don't want your staff to see it, or future employers, don't post it. 2 sites here that I thought were really helpful. One is Brand Yourself. There's great tips on how to improve your digital footprint. And then this Reputation Defender. Again, it's a great resource on ways that you can try and clean up any kind of misrepresentation of yourself. And then if it's really egregious, like if it's really, really bad, you need to hire a lawyer. Even a PR firm that could possibly help you correct some of the things that have gone south on social media. And then finally, connect with me on LinkedIn. I consider myself a ninja networker. I love to network. I absolutely enjoy reading other people's stories and professional wins, and helping source possible solutions for some things that they may need help with. And LinkedIn's this really fabulous way to do that as a community. So I invite you all to connect with me on LinkedIn, be the change you want to see in the world, put yourself out there, and make sure you're paying attention to maybe some misrepresentations that might not truly represent who you are as a professional. And go Deeks. I think I'm just a little south of 30 minutes. I'm not sure if we've got time for questions, but I'm happy to stay back.
Well, thank you so much, Sharon. That was great. It is kind of scary, the things that show up when you Google yourself. So thanks for those tips. If you have questions, please feel free to stay on the call. Sharon said she's happy to answer any questions you have. As I mentioned, we did record this. I'll share the recording and the presentation so you can click on some of the links embedded in her presentation. And thanks so much for all of you who joined us today.